Hare Krishna, my dear Prabhus, dear Matajis. Good morning. Thank you for joining our morning Japa session. Happy Monday. Hello, good morning sa inyo. So we are now in a very special day. Laging special kasi it is Srimad Bhagavatam day, Srimad Bhagavatam morning. And of course, yung mga may Srimad Bhagavatam set, we are opening the second book ng ating Srimad Bhagavatam. This is the first canto, part 2. Of course, those who have the bigger ones, it is still the same. First canto. Pero nakaka-excite, di ba? After ng one small book, ng one book, next book tayo. And another far out stories. Saka yung marami tayong matututunan when it comes to this book. Last night, I was checking this out. Sobrang gaganda. Ang gaganda ng mga happenings na mangyayari. First of all, I invite you to join me in the invocation mantras and reciting the mantras in respect sa ating spiritual teachers, spiritual gurus, for us to be able to be in the humble position, in the mode of request. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Sarasvatim Yasam Tato Jayam Udirayet Nasta Priyashu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Utamas Loke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. I offer my obeisances to the Supreme Personality of Godhead Vasudeva. Before reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the Personality of Godhead Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the Personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Hare Krishna, good morning, hello. So, last time, we knew na napunta sa situation si Arjuna where he was asked by Draupadi to give justice. And he promised na may gagawin siya kay Ashvatam. He will kill Ashvatam. Then he got, together with Lord Shri Krishna, they arrested Ashvatam. But when they brought Ashvatam to camp, there was a commotion. Draupadi changed her mind, changed her heart, and she wanted that Ashvatam to be forgiven. Then the brothers came, Yudhishthir, Bhima, the twins, and others. Yudhishthir agreed to the arguments of Draupadi for Ashvatam to be forgiven. But Bhima, the second brother, was very angry, at the same time wanted Ashvatam to be killed. So Krishna asked Arjuna, Arjuna, Draupadi have asked you to kill Ashvatam. You have promised as well. Tapos, ngayon, sila Yudhishthir, same yung point of view niya tungkol kay Ashvatam. Then si Bhima and I are saying, you should kill Ashvatam. So what are you gonna do? So sobrang importante yung scenario na yon. And in that situation, Arjuna thought it well. And what he did is he cut off the hair ng isang respectable kshatriya. He cut off the hair and the jewel, which is equivalent to dishonoring him, and it is worse than that. So both parties was pleased by Arjuna's intelligence and prowess. So that is a very important fact. And after that, they went to grieve to together with all the relatives to do the last rites for the dead relatives, dead loved ones. So we are reading now in the Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, entitled Creation, chapter 8, entitled Prayers by Kunti and Pariksit Save. Text number 1. Sutta Goswami said, thereafter the Pandavas, desiring to deliver water to the dead relatives who had desired it, went to the Ganges with Draupadi. The ladies walked in front. So Ganges River, short history, it is a holy river. When Krishna incarnated himself as Vamanadev, or a dwarf Brahmana, um, he was given a reward by King Bali to magkaroon ng 3 step. Ayun yung hiniling niya eh. Then, ayun yung land na mapupunta sa kanya. Then, Vamanadev grew so big, gigantic. Yung sun daw, kasing liit na lang nung jewel niya sa paa. So, ganun lumaki si Vamanadev. First step, he took the material world. Second step, the spiritual world. Then, the third step, he asked si Bali Maharaj, sa ko lalagay yung third step ko. Then, Bali Maharaj, cut the story short, offered his head. You can put your third step in my head. Habang ginagawa ni Vamanadev yung step na yon, sa spiritual world, saka sa material world, may naghahati na river. Tinatawag yung Viraja River or coastal ocean. So, na-pierce ni Vamanadev yung lining na yon. Tapos, nagkaroon ng leak ng water. Because of that water leak, pupunta siya sa material world. And that from that force, kaya niyang i-destroy yung material world. And by the mercy ng isang pure devotee, which is si Lord Shiva, he catch by his head yung force na pagdating nung Ganges River. So, kaya nagmumula yung Ganges River sa Himalayas. Downstream, papunta sa ocean, sa Indian Ocean. Pero dadaan siya sa India, buong India. From Nepal na kasi yung Himalayas. Tapos, pababa. It is a holy river. It is not coming from the spiritual world. And it cleanses. At na naman tayo sa usapan ng take bath. It cleanses. It cleanses not just physical, but also it purifies one's living and inner self. Yan. Sabi ni John, i-reveal na natin yung usapan namin last time. Nag-usap-usap daw yung mga students. Kapag di daw nagbukas ng camera in the morning, especially sa Japa, saka sa Srimad Bhagavatam, di pa raw naliligo. And it was being, yung mga students there also encouraging themselves. Kasi, of course, last time malamig. And, yan, tumatawa tuloy sa Nikita. Malamig, tapos, it's a troublesome, ang daming gagawin. Instead of just washing your hands, washing your face, tapos mag-chant na. In spiritual life, mababasa niyo palagi dito, water is very important. Purifying one's body and oneself. Sobrang importante yun. And when they use yung mga water in doing dito worship or worshiping ng altar. Even some of my friends, pag naliligo kami sa beach, sa mga devotees, there is a mantra to invoke Ganges River and other holy rivers para yung water na yon maging river siya. Maging holy river siya or holy water siya from the sacred rivers. So, ganun din yung mga ginagamit na sa Achman or yung mga water in purification sa dito worship. There are mantras to invoke them or to invite them. So, this is important kasi it purifies one existence. If you've read si Journey Home, di ba, by Radhanath Swami, pag-usapan natin last night yon. Lagi siyang meditate when he was younger sa Ganges River. And very mystically, yung Hare Krishna Maha Mantra was given to him not by a person, but in the form si Mother Ganga binigay sa kanya in his meditation sa Ganges River. So very important. So it was mentioned here, kukuha sila ng water because of the para dun sa dead relatives, tapos may possession sila. Nauna yung mga babae. You can see this until now. Di ba pag may patay, may possession. Tapos yung mga grieving relatives, nakapila sila. Tapos andun yung mga, nauna yung mga babae. It is coming from the scriptures. Yung procession na to. There are a lot of reasons. Sa America daw, they've stopped this because it was causing traffic. Pero isang process siya ng to receive the loss of a loved one. At the same time, it is a reminder na yung pag nakakita ka ng dead person, it is a reminder na mangyayari sa'yo yun. That's why mostly, if not all, kapag may mga patay na body sa India, they had a procession, they do kirtan, Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then they burn the body. Madalas nga openly pa si Radhat, if you could remember sa may Jagannath Puri, meron nung parang hindi na mamatay na fireplace na sobrang laki, where when someone dies, dadalhin lang doon. It's very openly. So makikita mo talaga. Pero yung iba pag ako dumadaan doon, hindi ko tinitingnan. It's very so detailed. Pero it is always a reminder. Diba? Sa Varanasi, if you watch yung mga links din sa YouTube, Varanasi, Ganges River, laging may ganon, tabi ng Ganges River. So it is an age-old culture to grieve for a loved one, to lament, and to cremate them. Bakit? Madaming reason. In the culture ngayon, modern culture ngayon, may mga glimpses ng reason na meron sa kanila doon. Basahin muna natin yung text number 2. Having lamented over them and sufficiently offered Ganges water, they bathed in the Ganges, whose water is sanctified due to being mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord. So sobrang importante itong last point dito, but we'll discuss first, they bathed in the Ganges River. Sabi nga, after daw may mamatay na relatives, one should cleanse. In the deity worship in the temple, after may mamatayan ng immediate relatives, they're not, hindi muna sila papasok sa loob ng altar for a certain period. They have to cleanse themselves. Touching dead body is contaminating. What more pa eating yung dead body, di ba? At the same time, isang reason bakit cremate yung mga dead bodies, for those souls na nag-pass away, it will help them to transmigrate to another body. Di ba may mapapanood kang movie or story na namatay na siya, tapos ginagawa pa rin niya yung mga paulit-ulit na activities niya. Ayaw niya maniwala na he's dead. He don't have the knowledge. May consciousness pa rin siya, pero nasa ibang body na siya. Sa subtle body na siya. Wala na sa gross body. Andun pa rin yung mga senses. Gusto pa rin niya kumain. Gusto pa rin niya, attach pa rin sa family niya. Gusto pa rin niyang uminom, umihi, diba, makipag-intercourse. The only thing is, nandun siya sa ghostly body. Or even not in the ghostly body. On that transition, pag andun yung soul na umalis sa body. Tapos nakita niya yung body niya and everyone's grieving. Oh, bumalik ka. Ba't mo kami iniwan? You know, sobrang attachment niya, ayaw niya umalis. Kaya minsan, ay madalas pala, there are ghosts and other subtle bodies na nasa paligid pa rin ng mga kamag-anak nila. They could not move on. Or nasa cemetery pa rin sila. They're always trying yung mga previous body nila. Baka pwede pa. Kaya they burn the body. It is a reminder for the departed one na there's no use for it anymore. Of course, saintly person, hindi ganun yung for that will be for the ordinary person. Pero the saintly person, those who are really elevated one, they do a different in a different culture how they have the last rites. They perform samadhi. They put the body underground, covered with salt, and there will be a samadhi on top where one could commemorate, remember yung mga pastimes na ginawa ng saint person. And they do worship as well. So that's a big difference. Pero this one, as we can read here, yung Ganges River is very purifying. Bakit? It touched the lotus feet. May dust down ng lotus feet ni Lord Krishna. And of course, si Lord Vamana. Nag-touch yung feet niya dun sa, na-pierce niya yung Viraja River. Kaya pumunta rito. At the same time, this time, si Krishna kasama naligo sa Ganges River. In the text number 3, there sat the king of the Kurus, Maharaj Yudhishthira, along with his younger brothers, and Dhritarashtra, Gandhari, Kunti, and Draupadi, all overwhelmed with grief. Lord Krishna was also there. So, ganun kakaiba to. Akatapos ng war, kabilang side, si Kauravas, ang dad ng mga Kauravas is si Dhritarashtra. And mind you, si Dhritarashtra, ayun nga, sila yung dad nung Kauravas. Kasama siya rito. Kasama siya grief. Andun yung asawa niya si Gandhari. Of course, si Kunti, yung mom ng parents ng Pandavas. Parent ng Pandavas. And of course, si Draupadi. So kasi, magkakamag-anak sila. They're all relatives. Even after the war, still they're relatives. Si Krishna kasama kasi si Pandavas, si Kunti, and si Vasudeva are brothers. Vasudeva yung dad ni Krishna. So si Krishna is cousin ng mga Pandavas. So lahat sila magkakasama in grieving. For that grief, for lamenting sa loss ng mga anak ng Pandavas. Pero, being Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, being there because of His presence also, merong way kapag yung isang tao naglalamент, nagigrieve, kapag he's feeling the pain ng losing a loved one. Sometimes not just for in death. Minsan the relationship was broken. Diba? Even broken-hearted ka with the loved one, intimate loved one, conjugal loved one. May lamentation, may grief eh, 'di ba? Ang hirap ng pain. Pero pag yung tao daw nasa ganitong stage, aside from hearing, aside from being there, one should hear and seek philosophical advices para mas maintindihan niya. Yes, you can cry with them or sometimes you can weep with them. Pwede mo silang damayan. Pero one should hear philosophical teachings, spiritual teachings, for one to be able to understand, for one to be able to be pacified. And Krishna, being there, being present in the grieving stage ng mga relatives, ng mga loved ones nila, try to pacify them. Text number 4. Citing the stringent laws of the Almighty and their reactions upon the living beings, Lord Sri Krishna and the Munis began to pacify those who were shocked and affected. So mga Munis, sila yung mga saintly person kasama dun sa grieving stage and performing the last rites. These last rites, yung mga rites na to, they are called samskara. In the Catholic world, meron sila mga like the baptism, the yung kumpil, tapos yung mga ano ba yung mga nandun? First communion, sacraments, tapos the wedding, tapos may last rites din sila. So it is called samskara in the Vedic scriptures. And it is very detailed process. Merong first na samskara is the first samskara is the Garbhadana samskar, or yung preparation how one would conceive a child, inviting with the right consciousness. And this, they're performing the last rites in last samskara. I forgot what is called. Pero while they're doing that, may mga priests, may mga munis, may mga brahmanas who are there grieving with them. And si Lord Krishna, kasama yung mga munis, yung mga priests there, are trying to pacify yung mga relatives. And sinabi dito, the laws of nature is there. With the action and reaction, with the birth comes death. That philosophy na we're not the body, we're the spirit soul. At the same time, everything is under the control by the Supreme Controller, the cause of all the causes, Lord Shri Krishna. Having this philosophy, medyo nakaka-awaken siya ng diwa when one is lamenting over a loss. Gising siya. And here, it was mentioned by Srila Prabhupada, in our material stage, we can see neither ourselves nor the Lord for want of spiritual vision. Kasi, when we are just in our lower stage or material consciousness, hindi natin siya naiintindihan. Hindi natin nga makilala yung sarili natin. Hindi natin makilala rin si Krishna. And these scriptures will help us to understand ourselves and will help us to understand Krishna even a little bit. And will help us understand what's happening with this material body. Of course, yes, masakit if one is lamenting. Then one would say, no, we're not the body. Ba't ka ba umiyak? Don't lament. We not be hard-hearted na to directly and bluntly say those things. It should be with warmth and love pa rin in explaining and in pacifying yung grief ng isang person sa loss niya sa loved one. This is again, in explanation of Prabhupada here, people in the material stage are very illusioned. Bakit ba tayo nasaktan? Bakit ba tayo umiyak? Bakit ba tayo naglalament kapag may nawala sa atin? Even not namatayan or may nawala sa relationship or bagay or position. Kasi people are illusioned. They think they possess this so-called country, home, land, children, wife, community, wealth, etc. Meron silang false representations. Again, caused by Maya. Thinking, I am a Filipino. Huwag niyo saktan yung Philippines. Bawal kayo mag-joke about Philippines. Pero ang lakas mong bully ng mga Pilipino. Ang dami natin joke about other countries. Ang dami nating tawag sa kanila. Pero pag tayo, alam mo yun, parang big issue. Ang lakas mang asar pero pikon. So, sobrang attached tayo doon. Or parang, we're so proud kapag may Filipino na nag-reign sa mga field ng sports or music. Pero pag walang competition na yon, everyone is criticizing each other. Di ba parang ang hypocrite nung dating. Nung illusion ng being nationalistic. Of course, you have to support where you are. Pero hindi siya yung goal ng life. Being nationalistic over spirituality, over life, over humanity. Diba? And remember, lahat ng mga fighting for the war, conquering someone, killing someone, they're also nationalistic, yung mga sumakop sa Philippines. Nationalistic din sila. But not for the Philippines kasi ibang country sila. So, it doesn't make sense, diba? And, unlike thinking na we're all humans, for the bigger picture, di ba? They're just rubber stamping themselves. And mind you, after siguro mamatay sila sa war because of their karma, baka dun sila ipanganak dun sa other country na galit sila. So those other things, country, home, land. So they're all very attached with this. They're very attached with this. Isang psychology na natutunan natin doon is like in the yung mga children, mga nursery daw, they're very attached kung saan sila umupo in the first day sa school. They wanted dun lang sila. And pag may ibang umupo dun sa upuan nila, naggalit, nag-aaway. Some are very attached with it hanggang lumaki sila. Yung upuan lang yun na what more pa yung home sa tumira, di ba? That's why those who are advancing spiritually, they're trained, advised to travel para mawala yung conception na this is my only home, this is my country, this is my countrymen, this is my relatives. That attachment could be a binding agent or entanglement para hindi tayo makamove on sa destination natin after this body. This is because of illusion again. Again, binanggit din dito, children, wife, community, wealth. Paano yung Radha Charan? We're talking about detachment, attachment. Pero yan, sabi ni Jonah, children are particularly with consistency. Yan, yung mga attachment dun sa places. Pero one thing, yung attachment ng isang parent sa child. Totoo yun. There will be attachment. Love is there. Sobra. Pero there are medyo part na hindi ganun ka-healthy yung attachment. Na nakukulong nila yung child into a certain belief ng parent. Yung attachment nila sa child is medyo hindi helpful sa child. Yung iba, selfish attachment pala. Pangarap ko sa'yo, ganito yung gawin mo paglaki kasi hindi ko natupad na pangarap ko yan. Ang tinupad kong pangarap yung pangarap ng parents ko sa akin. Pinapasa-pasa yung mga... Tapos siyempre yung child na yun, not knowing, not liking that career or path sa buhay. Gagawin niya yun out of something demand. Then, siya naman, yung mga unfulfilled desire niya, ipapasa niya rin dun sa ano. And pag di nangyari yun, magagalit yung parent. Diba? Yung may mga wrong attachment dun sa child na could damage yung growth niya. It is mentioned that in the scriptures, yung awakening doon na we don't own, if one is a parent, they don't own the child. They are the agent para matulungan yung gross body niya to be produced in that time. But we don't own them. They're individual spirit soul, part and parcel ni Krishna. And from different pastimes of their lives, in their previous lives, marami silang naging parents. Ikaw din, marami ka naging anak. Marami ka naging parent. There is a pastime sa Bhagavad Gita na sobrang attached yung, this is Bhagavatamrita, Bhagavatmatmaya, the glories of reading Srimad Bhagavad Gita. There was a pastime there that namatay yung anak niya and the relatives, the parents, wanted to revive. Kasi so they're so too attached. Then nakagawa sila ng way to revive the child. Only thing, yung na-revive nila ng child nila, nagkaroon ng remembrance yung bata with all the lives na meron siya previously. And gusto niya gawin is to move on. Umalis na sa material world, pumunta na sa spiritual world. And he was educating his parents. Nagkaroon na ako ng maraming parents. Kayo rin nagkaroon ng maraming anak. Why are you too much attached to me? Hindi yan yung goal ng buhay. Ang goal ng buhay is to go back home, back to Godhead. And this illusion na meron tayo, if you could remember yung classes natin sa meditation and yoga philosophy. And by the way, we will start the 4th batch tomorrow. So please pray para sa success in sharing Krishna consciousness to them. If you could remember yung classes natin doon, meron tayong day na yung acronym natin is home. And letter H is the home or hotel. Masyadong attached tayo dito sa hotel na to. This is not our home. Temporary lang tayo rito. And because of illusion, people are too much crazy about this thing. That they are willing to fight with each other. They're willing to create yung mga war. Diba? Or damage yung akala nilang love nila because of wrong attachment. Minsan obsession na yung dating. Just thinking attached sila because of the comfort they will get from having that presence ng mga tao na yun. So this kind of philosophy, if one is hearing this, depende sa situation, how one will present it with much more sweetness, mas makakatulong to awaken yung tao na nag-grieve. Diba? In philosophy, or modern times, they're coining yung dabda. Diba? From stages ng grief, tapos it will regress or relapse ng onti sa iba, umaatras. Pero it is very helpful kapag may knowledge. And hindi lang that time. We are actually understanding this Bhagavad Gita even in our default stage ng buhay. Wala pa nangyayari ng loss, wala pa nangyayari ng death of a loved one or break ng relationship. Pag dumating siya, meron tayong foundation to understand. Ito yung sinasabi. It will be painful for some time, pero mas maintindihan natin kasi may foundation na tayo. Same thing with other troubles sa buhay or sa the life na hinaharap natin. Pag may dumating na mga struggles, if we have a good foundation, mas may intindihan natin. At the same time, mas maganda, mas sober yung mga decision making natin in that situation. Kaya siya tinawag na foundation kasi you build it first. Like in a building, yung foundation would cost 20-30% of the budget ng building. Tapos hindi siya kita. Nasa ilalim lang siya. For the stronger the foundation, the higher the building could go. And the safer it will be. And kahit may malakas na lindol, hindi siya basta-basta tutumba or madi-destroy. That's foundation. And we need to invest on these foundations, spiritual foundations, by doing our sadhana, studying the scriptures, learning this. Kasi, bawal daw mag-bet yung mga monks, pero I bet. Believe you me, di ba? I will assure you. Yung mga nasa paligid natin, one or the other, it's either we're gonna leave them or they will leave us. Material man yan or mga tao. Kasi these are temporary. Speaking of King Yudhisthira, when he was talking to his father in the garb of a Raksha, and this is in Mahabharata story, we discussed in yung first part ng course natin. His father asked him, what is the most amazing thing meron sa mundo, na meron dito sa life na to? And King Yudhisthira answered, the most amazing thing is that everywhere, wherever you look, sabi niya, magtingin ka sa cellphone, tingin ka sa internet, sa TV. Anyway, sabi ni Yudhisthira, kahit saan ka tumingin, marami namamatay. There are people dying, other living entities dying. Pero the most amazing thing is hindi naiisip ng tao na nakaka-witness yun. Hindi niya naiisip. na mangyayari din sa kanya yon. Everywhere, COVID, tignan mo, buksan mo yung COVID, yung news, you will see people dying from COVID. Hindi lang COVID, other causes din, di ba? Other diseases or other accidents, di ba? People are dying. Um, Other living entities, yes, slaughterhouse, millions and millions of other animals are dying. Pero hindi naiisip ng tao na, uy, kailan, baka next ako ah. This today ba? So, next month. Iniisip palagi ng tao, kaya so, most amazing, iniisip ng tao, tatagal yung buhay niya. Old age, mag-retire siya. Doon siya mag-seryoso sa spiritual life. So, kailangan gisingin yung knowledge niya. And once you're the Prabhupada, when he is about to teach yung final lesson niya, which is yung graceful living niya ng material world na to, he is still doing devotional service. Srila Prabhupada was still translating yung Srimad Bhagavatam. Kaya sobrang special na ito. He's still translating Srimad Bhagavatam, giving classes. And on his last stage ng buhay niya, he's still teaching yung mga disciples niya, yung mga students. And we could still learn from that. And alam mo ba yung anong sabi ni Srila Prabhupada sa mga disciple niya during in his deathbed? Sabi niya, don't think na hindi mangyayari sa inyo yung mangyayari sa akin. So this kind of knowledge na sinasabi ni Krishna, na sinasabi rin ng Srimad Bhagavatam, is the foundational knowledge. Pag dumating yung moment na yon, that pain of losing someone, medyo mas stable and mas matatanggap natin. And one should hear, kapag meron tayong situation na ganito, one should seek a devotee, the mentor, yung counsel niya, senior devotee, for one to be able to understand, hear philosophy. And if one should give philosophy, syempre, kailangan mong to express it eloquently. Hindi yung masyadong masakit. We want to pacify nga, hindi natin gustong saktan. And text number 5, the clever Duryodhan and his party cunningly usurped the kingdom of Yudhishthir, who had no enemy. But by the grace of the Lord, the recovery was executed, and the unscrupulous kings who joined with Duryodhan were killed by him. Others also died, their duration of life having decreased for their rough handling of the hair of Queen Draupadi. Si Sutta Goswami was giving little hints nung kwento na to kung paano nangyari yung war. But at the same time, eto nga, si Duryodhan yung panganay sa mga Kauravas, sa mga kapatid. Then si Yudhishthir dito, yung panganay nila sa Pandavas. So they had a war, yung Battle of Kurukshetra. And yung mga kings na nag-join sa Kauravas, even naman sa Pandavas, most of them died in that war. Lalo na yung mga nasa side ng Kauravas, halos ubos talaga lahat sila. And King Yudhishthir, even natapos na yung war. Still, ang dami niyang pinatay na nun. Still, ang tawag sa kanya, the king who had no enemy. Wala siyang enemy. Paano yun? The King Yudhishthir had no enemy. If one read the Bhagavad, the Mahabharata, he is very virtuous. He is very guided with Krishna. Like a king should be guided by a Brahman or a saintly person. Siya, ang guide niya, si Krishna. He is very gentle. And wala siyang enemy. He doesn't want, actually hindi nga siya nagkitake ng offense eh. Kahit na aggressor yung mga pinsan niya sila Duryodhan. Wanted to kill them, they poisoned, kinuha na yung kayamanan nila. Even, sabi rito, rough handling nung hair ni Draupadi. That, those who have attended one class we had, si Draupadi was dragged dun sa hall kung nasaan maraming tao and wanted to remove his garments. Tapos sinabunutan siya. Even nangyari yon, hindi pa rin nagkaroon ng enemy si Yudhisthira. Pero, those who did that to Draupadi, mishandled a chaste woman, nagka-shorten yung lives nila. Automatic. It was mentioned by Srila Prabhupada here. Ito nga, merong glory days. Ito yung earlier days ng mga yugas. Satya Yuga, ganun. The idea lang nangyari dito, these four are protected by Kshatriyas, by the country, by the kings. First, yung Brahmanas, the priest, they're always protected. They're taken care of. Nag-donate sila palagi doon so they could maintain themselves nila. Yung mga Brahmanas, they don't have to work because the purpose nila is to study, to teach, to advise the mga leaders. The cows are protected. Walang, walang beef burger nun. Walang slaughterhouse nun. Ngayong Kali-yuga lang yan. In third, they protect the women. And fourth, the old person. Yeah. Yung third sa fourth, women and children. So dito, it was mentioned 5, yung mga pinoprotect nila. Yung ibang sinasabi ni Srila Prabhupada are scriptures, magkasama yung children and women. There are reasons given by Srila Prabhupada. The protection of the Brahmanas maintains the institution of Varna and Dharma. Varna and ashram, the most scientific culture for attainment of spiritual life. So the Brahmanas spread this, yung Varna and ashram, at the same time yung Krishna consciousness. If nawala yung protection sa Brahmana, wala mag-a-advise na maayos sa mga kings. Just like yung mga leaders ngayon, sino kinukuha nilang advisors nila would be in favor lang sa kanilang mga motives. Hindi naka-base sa sastra o sa mga, hindi sila mga saints. That's the idea and that's the ideal na sinasabi ng Srimad Bhagavatam. These kings, these leaders should be advised by saintly persons para mabalanse. If hindi na protektahan yung mga priests, yung mga Brahman na wala na yung culture na yun, the leaders will be materialistic, hindi saintly leaders. Which, sa Kali-yuga, nangyayari. If the cows are not protected, wala yung mapuproduce na milk that would, sabi dito sa Prabhupada, maintain the finer tissue of the brain to understand the higher aims of life. And cow is the personification ni Mother Bhumi, Mother Earth. Hindi niya gusto na pinapatay ng mga tao or kinakain ng tao yung cow. Cow is also the highest animal kingdom. Pag nagka-transgress yung isang soul para pabalik sa isang human being na body, last niya bago mag-human is cow. Yung consciousness ng cow much developed then. Oh yes, parang hindi siya parang unggoy na same, 2 hands and all. Pero the consciousness of it. And the mode, sabi nga yung cow is in the mode of goodness. They're even treated holy. So, kailangan protected yung cow. And if the cow is protected, the other animals should be protected as well. But the cow protection should be there. The cows are very dear to Krishna. Gopal, the land of the cows, is the very dearmost sa mga cows and the Brahmanas. Kaya si Krishna protector ng dalawang to. And the others as well. The women, kailangan protected yung women. It was mentioned, yung women kailangan protected ng father when she is younger. Protected siya ng husband. And pag sa old age siya, nag-pass away na yung husband or nag-renounce na yung husband, nag-retire na, she should be protected by the eldest son. Kailangan lang laging under protection yung women. And Srila Prabhupada, when he was in the West, nakikita niya, women are fighting for independence. And yung mga men wanted it. For the one reason nakita ni Srila Prabhupada, women just want to enjoy, men Sorry, what I mean is, men wants to enjoy the women, wants to have the liberty to have illicit connection to them, madami, to abuse them. Because of this, we have the generation now, we have broken families, or the single parents, because they are not protected. And the unscrupulous man wanted to always um, abuse and enjoy yung women in sexual activities. If they are protected, hindi mangyayari yun. So, in the garb of sense gratification, they wanted women to also be independent kasi they wanted to enjoy. This according to Sri Prabhupada's observation when he went to the West. Yung chastity ng women was destroyed because of that. And mind you, pinagdiniscuss natin dito si Dhritarashtra and ng wife niya, si Gandhari. Gandhari, and actually the wealth of a woman is her chastity. Being chaste. So yes, sabi dito, the protection of women maintains the chastity of society, by which we can get good generation for peace, tranquility, and progress of life. So going back dun sa Garbhadana Samskar, if a parent have this Garbhadana Samskar, they're preparing to have a child. Hindi lang financially. Sabi nga, the spiritual family planning daw to. By consciousness, by chanting, praying, inviting a good soul, the right consciousness in conceiving a child. The child would be a gentle, spiritual child with good character, good generation. So there will be a big difference. I don't know how many percent, maybe point something percent na meron tayo sa Kaliyugan na gumagawa na ito. But I'm sure, pag nakita niyo yung bata na alam na nalaman niyo yung parents who went all through this Garbhadana ceremony, and yung mga, sabi nga nila, troublesome, you have to chant 50, more than 50 rounds. Diba, the consciousness will be Krishna conscious before having the intercourse to the women, inviting. So, ayun daw yung first birth talaga. Pero pag nalaman mo yung mga bata na nag-undergo yung parents nila ng ganito, you would see the good character nung bata na yun. Sobrang kakaiba. And if this was still being practiced, the next generations will be different. And what we have now is almost 100% unwanted children. Aksidente, di ba? Na-fail yung family planning. Tapos maririnig mo from when one is a child, hindi ka namin sinadya dyan, hindi ka namin plinano. Diba? How painful it is, di ba? Parang nasa party. Ba't ka nandito? Hindi ka invited. Di ba? Kaya sabihin nung, because of the treatment, sana hindi nyo na lang ako ginawa, sabi ng bata. So there's a big difference in psychology of the society. And of course, yung mga unwanted progeny with unwanted people, yung mga nag-a-abuse, yung consciousness na nag-a-abuse sa children, tapos magkakaroon ng next generation. So sa society, will feel that gravity nung scenario. Kaya kailangan protected yung women. It is not in the form na tatanggal lang sila ng rights. No, they should be protected from bad people. Fourth is protection of children, because this is gives the human form of life where yung big chance to prepare sa liberty or matanggal yung material bondage. Investment mo sa isang bata is to introduce spiritual life even in the younger age. All the schools, most of the schools, if not all, will educate the child about surviving, thriving in this material world. How to be great materially, the skill set, the thinking. Pero we should not forget to educate the child spiritually. Diba? Parang pinag-usapan namin last time. Parang saya no, kung merong meditation saka may yoga sa school. Diba? Yung bata, pag naiinis siya, alam niya how to handle the anger, the pain. Mag-meditate siya. Ano, kasi hindi natuturo siya. Yeah, sadly, bakit ang daming gusto mag-aral ng yoga, ng meditation? Kasi hindi siya inaaral ng bata. What if bata pa lang tinuturo? And I really appreciate yung mga grado yogis natin. They're trying to um, teach this sa mga children, investing. What more pa yung spiritual life if one is investing in spiritual life, like the Gurukul, sharing Krishna consciousness. And they're very naive. Ang daming makitang video na those children, may mga video sila, they don't want to eat meat. You don't have to give them a lot of philosophy. Alam nila buhay yun. Friends nila yung mga pet nila. Diba? They don't discriminate from dogs sa hog. Alam nila. Diba? So we must protect yung children. Kung ano yung pumapasok sa consciousness nila, we should also facilitate yung spiritual um, education sa kanila. Of course, protection of old men. Kailangan and nabibigay yung chance kasi malapit na sila nasa stage where they will leave the body sooner or later. To protect them na hindi sila ma um, mag-bother pa ng material na mga responsibilities ng material na how do you call this? Troubles. Para yung consciousness nila, they're preparing Krishna conscious activities for them to remember Krishna in the time of death. Whatever the the memory o yung remembrance ng isang tao at the time of death, doon siya pupunta. And if one remembers Krishna, without fail, he will reach Krishna's abode. So we have to protect them as well. So this, kailangan gawin ng isang king, ng isang leader. Pero if not, hindi niya nagagawa to. Just like si Dushasan, where he abused, sinabunutan niya si Draupadi. Trinag niya actually. Hinatak niya si Draupadi through the hair. Papunta sa hall na maraming tao. His life was shortened. Pinatay nga siya actually ni Bhima in the war. Bhima vowed, kailangan patayin niya to si Dushasan. Very barbarically. Sabi nga nagkapangalan si Bhima na nakalimutan ko yung term, pero yung vow niya is very, gore. So yeah, pinatay niya. And that is the symbolism na yung mga tao na doesn't protect us or these people, even the cow, kapag ina-abuse din nila to, the life is shortened. And this is the explanation bakit sa Kali Yuga, paiksi yung buhay ng tao. You could see grossly or physically or subtle, di ba? Mabilis magkasakit yung tao. They're abusing it, and physically, of course, they're consuming yung meat, yung beef. The mental health is not there. The environment is troublesome, punishing like collective karma, everything. Because of this, the life of people are shortened. And sabi ni Sri Prabhupada, the killing of the above-mentioned innocent creatures is totally forbidden because even by insulting them, one loses one's duration of life. Nasa-shorten daw. And yung mga next generation pa-short in life nila. So, ganun ka-detailed yung Srimad Bhagavatam. And ganun ka-detailed kung paano natin siya dapat isabuhay. In the text number 6, Lord Krishna caused 3 well-performed Ashvamedha Yagnas or horse sacrifice to be conducted by Maharaj Yudhishthira, and thus caused his virtuous fame to be glorified in all directions, like that of Indra, who had performed 100 such sacrifices. This we will continue to discuss tomorrow. Pero Lord Krishna was just glorifying, after niya ipacify yung mga relatives, he is glorifying Yudhishthira. Kung ano yung meron kay Yudhishthira. You mentioned first na si Yudhishthira, after all this, wala pa rin siyang enemy. Because he's a pure devotee. He's a perfect example of a leader, a virtuous person, a gentleman. And he's continuously glorifying Krishna. And he's even comparing si Yudhishthira Maharaj kay Lords of the Heaven, si Lord Indra, na may pinerform sila na Ashvamedha sacrifice. Tomorrow we will discuss this. Kasi sobrang importante nun. And actually sa third canto, yung activity ng Lord Indra na to will be discussed as well. So si Krishna is trying to introduce, after pacifying, introduce yung glorification ni Yudhishthir. And dito napapasok unti-unti kung paano nabuhay si King Pariksit, yung anak ng Pandavas. So that is our session for today. Sobrang maraming salamat, and I'm sure meron tayong mga instances where we lost a loved one physically, or na broken heart tayo because hindi natin siya kasama o na break yung relationship. But seek yung advice sa tamang person, sa tamang group. You could talk to other people na pwedeng ikasama lang natin, o kaya yung pain natin mas lumalim lang. Sabi nga ng friend, yung isang senior na friend, na devotee na friend ko, sabi niya, pag broken-hearted ka, huwag kang makinig ng love song. Wala kang masasaktan. Diba? Ay, sila, alam niya, si Govardhan nagsabi na, pag in love ka, huwag ka na makinig ng love song, mag-in love ka lalo na pag broken-hearted ka. Huwag ka na makinig, parang nilulugmok mo lang yung sarili mo dyan. Parang pinikitripan mo lang yung sarili mo. Nag-heart tuloy si Rodel. So, parang pinikitripan mo lang yung sarili mo. No, you should, in different situation, lalo na pag may problema tayo, we should seek, diba? We should seek yung mga right association that they would elevate our consciousness. Kasi we are going down sa consciousness ng pain, ng emotion, diba? In the Bhagavad Gita, the main teaching is we should learn that the intelligence is higher than the emotion. It is not just to surpass or hindi pansinin yung emotion. We should acknowledge that. Pero the question is, kailan ka mag-move on from that pain? Diba? Pwede mo siyang tambayan. Iba years, iba decades. Diba? Babalik-balikan na lang yung pain, yung trauma. Diba? So, one should still move on, even the loss of a loved one. And gusto ng mga loved one yun, na mag-move on yung mga relatives. Unless attached din sila, or like, iba yung thinking nila. May nakita nga ako meme pa. Parang sabi, namatay na nga ako, inutusan pa ako i-guide sila. Parang guide us. So, hindi niya role yon. His role is to move forward. So, yeah, we need knowledge. We need knowledge to understand this. Hindi siya tinuturo everywhere. Hindi mo siya makikita basta-basta. And others will speculate on karma and reincarnation. And science wanted to prove this. Some, meron na silang mga traces na nakuha from near-death experience sa yung mga past life, regression, mga tandaan nila. Then they're going there. Tapos, yung past life na vision nila, totoo, in details, pareho. So, yeah, we need knowledge. And whatever will happen in the future, we are strong with the foundation. And that foundation could not be seen. Invincible yan. Underground yan. And isang foundation na pwede natin kapitan is association ng devotees. They will help us to understand what's happening. And by understanding, mapapacify tayo sa mga nangyayari. So maraming salamat. It will be action-packed yung mangyayari pa. May adventure. Ang galing, di ba? After ng mga drama, iyakan. Tapos biglang meron na namang action. Tapos magkakaroon uli ng gano'n. May drama uli. Tapos may action na naman. May adventure na naman sa Srimad Bhagavatam. And I'm inviting you to read yung Srimad Bhagavatam. Hindi lang sa classes natin, but also with your own time para magdire-diretso rin. And you could relish as well yung mga discussion natin. If you still don't have the Bhagavatam, the actual book, if you want to read it, I could pass an ebook to you. It's totally free. Mababasa mo rin naman yun. But if you want the actual book, just let us know. May parating tayo ng mga Srimad Bhagavatam na new copies. I think in few weeks now. Few weeks from now. Maraming salamat. Grandara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaur Premanande. Please take care everyone. And extended daw yung ECQ. So be safe still. And be safe sa mga nangyayari sa paligid. Sa virus. Be sensitive. Lagi pinag-uusapan natin yung sa classes. Be sensitive kasi yung iba may mga pain sila. You believe the COVID or not. Let us not cause pain sa kanila. Maraming salamat. See you. I don't know yet. I'll post sa GC kung ano yung next classes natin. Hare Krishna. Haribol.